do? What is up, my guys? It's Lindsay, back again with a special what I'm calling Talkin Toku Retro. And start off with, watch this toward the end of the semester, like, for finals and all that, because I need, a break. I decided to go and watch Fourze. I was playing until after the break to get through all these. Part of the special, but, after talk about that, I'll put in the description, but I'll go a bit more in depth of at least this first half of the year for the channel. No, I'm just going to put it in the description there, but next month in March will be year in review, and then May will be kind of like just keep right out the top of the stream. So this month is Talkin Toku Retro, Fourze first, GOGOV 5, which I actually finished New Year's Eve, and then RPM, which I started watching like the day or two before the announcement was that just about all the seasons of Power Rangers will be leaving Netflix. But it's done. I have that on here. March will be be like a year in review, a major review. Probably continue with Saber and Kaiser Talk as well. Not really up to it today. But yeah. And then May is definitely, you're definitely get another Saber at least in there, and a channel update at that point, because right now I'll be running at Cedar Point over summer, but I'm not sure past, but obviously like in a few months close to summer I'll probably have a more clear idea whether or not I actually want to continue with Talkin Toku Live, or just go on hiatus until 22 over here. Because right now, in terms of making actual videos, for the theme park side of things, that's all going to SFNA Live from now on. So I might go up to Sesame Place to look at the anniversary drive-through, because I think the other events that are doing over the off-season, they might just be more like the Dine With Me stuff over like longer weekends from now until Eastertide. So yeah, I'm not quite. That's not really for the enthusiasts. And then head over to Hershey Park in April. That is the plan for now. And then once I get closer to being over at Cedar Point, all that, I'll figure out when I do Kings Island, the Columbus Zoo, Tokyo Kingdom, possibly Holiday World. Not probably Wood Nights, obviously, but maybe I'll get down to Strickers Grove, because that's only open 4th of July or something. Maybe some other side stuff, like seeing some the side attractions down there. But anyways, back to Fourze. This series ran from fall from alongside Go Kaija and Go Busters, which was dubbed as Beast Morphers, and recently watched that. Check out last stream. I muted it, and it's still getting notifications. I can't. There's no silent on my new iPad. Thought muting would help. Anyways, this was Brandon's like Go Kaiju and Go Busters, which had Beast Morphers. Check out that last Talkin Toku Live. Hear some final thoughts on Beast Morphers as a whole. But yeah, actually, it says it's more based off an American high school because they have American football. I don't know if that's just because American football is not played normally in Japanese schools, and kind of big thing there. I definitely know baseball is a big thing there, so I don't know why they just, with that means they kind of were trying to get a Fourze adaptation, and that's why they did that, even though you could easily change that up somehow. I don't know, but I kind of feel Shooting Me outstayed their welcome. They should have left with all the seniors, and then we allow Ron Haru more screen time. That is definitely what I feel is that's one of my biggest gripes with the whole series. But I do feel that like what Genshin needed to do after the earthquake and stuff, like what Kenja being a symbol of hope, kind of feel like Jiro is kind of like that in ways now, and maybe to an extent, kind of based off like today's episode, where he might be like the person to like set things right. I might say I'd say like there's kind of much coming back in with COVID as it was back after the hurricane tsunami. Like they brought a lot more Sentai actors back because of that, and then Gen's just supposed to be like a symbol of hope. I kind of feel like he did his job in that regard. Me and Shun, there's outlasted their welcome. I wish we had like Ron, Haru, and actually the teacher maybe get involved a lot earlier. I thought he was going to be involved a lot earlier, but like as part of the club, but like before maybe around the same time as Meteor shows up, before maybe. Yeah, actually kind of got a bit of a crush on Tomoko. So not much else to say about that other than Claire should be fine that I don't have feelings for Miss Morgan. That's probably the only good news of that. And so I also find Yuki rather annoying. I do feel May is a bit more caring. I can see why people would also find her kind of. I do feel there's a lot more heart to May than Yuki. That's just me. Now Kingo in the story, spoiler, is not even actually a human. He is the core switch, which breaks up his father and Sagittarius, Gano, when he's been running the whole school the whole time. And so Kingo's job has pretty much been ever since that incident to build the Fourze system. And Tachibana Virgo is another friend of Gamao and Kingo's dad, and he helped with making a sideline, like the switch that accesses the rabbit hatch, which is where all their big operations are back on the moon, as well as the Meteor system. Kind of interesting there as Sakata. He's doing it because one of his friends tries to switch but fell into a coma, and so he needed to wait for the Aries Zodiac to show up, and that kind of caused friction. Kind of, I would say it's a lot very similar to the friction seen right now between the sort of logos with now we have like Chuma and Yuri, who kind of see the new human Megiddo stuff, where the others think that he's bad, or I think Rick is actually the person that is sus. Kachi wears black. Very manipulative. I feel like Jake is kind of a symbol of a lot of people kind of living in the shadow of their parents. Definitely kind of see that with definitely kind of think about that a bit with like larger content creators with families, or like, like growing up on like a vlog, on a family vlog channel. That's something that comes with getting their own fame out of it versus just getting thrown into it at this point. But time will tell on that. But I do feel, despite this only being a 2-writer series, I feel each club member does kind of add something, even though Yuki is an annoying one. But she's also the like big enthusiast, and obviously Kingo is the tech. Genji's kind of like a bad boy. Sakata's the kind of the introvert. Me and Shun kind of like big heel in the school system, so you have a lot of support in that way. Then Jake's like gossip type, so he was after the gossip and stuff. So someone who like moves in the loop as well is kind of good. And then Toko is like, I think she might have like a bit of like empathy, kind of empathetic healer or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but it was on the last week's episode of Good Doctor. There was a character like that who saw what that Lim was getting stressed out and having PTSD due to working during COVID, and probably still suffering a bit from the loss of Melendez. We saw Claire go through that bit during the pandemic episodes. But I already did have an idea to integrate Fourze into my Saber adaptation, as I had already had the idea that there's a guy named Ray Stewart who is a member of the Society of Adventurers and Explorers, of which the other characters are part of that, but it's not the Sorlows. That's a completely different organization that includes, you have the princess counterpart, as well as mechanic who does become a writer after Ray dies and takes over, the same Pink Rider powers. And then Caliber, who becomes a Psycho. And then I have what I call Commander Terran instead of Buster. Yeah, they're from a parallel world where the Miji's counterparts were based, as they like a Haru and CM Stories vibe to them. Obviously, they're kind of like Bujin Katoom for Caliber, and Buster actually directly connect to that. And the grunts in the series are called Chumps. Just kind of fits into that as well. So here is that story right there. Actually, this is actually definitely a lot based off my own high school years in a way, in terms of like names and such. They got a prom in Fourze. I never went to my proms. Excite is one of my favorite songs from the series. Kind of like I like Destiny's Play, but only as an instrumental. I don't really like lyrics and stuff. But Dex Scott and Taylor Kittredge are named after. Dex is named after Master Rider and the original Red Ranger, Jason Lee Scott. Taylor Kittredge is Kit Taylor backwards. So John Lunsford, that's one for you. Amanda Cragg was actually one of it. Is after a long-term sub that I had in 8th grade. I didn't like my 8th grade English teacher until, but she got pregnant and, you know, she was gone like maybe on my birthday or so. Kingo kept Kingo's name. Kind of liked it. Reference to the OG Kamen Rider as it was in there. Sally Ridner, play on Sally Ride. Kid McVeigh, this guy named Kay, he was on the football team. He wasn't, I think he had really a big role on. I'm sure he had some role. I have no idea what it was, but I kept buzzing his chops because he didn't have a girlfriend. You know, stereotypes. Rachel Barrios, cheer captain. They're, you know, like Shinamyu, they're a thing. There's 2 different Rachel's reference here. This one I think is supposed to be Rachel Iredale because I know she was on Cheer High School, and I think Barrios was on a cheer squad for like the region, not the school, like more like this one, like I think competition cheer. I think is more like gymnastics from what I've heard. Turned Jake and Tomoko into siblings, you know, to speed things up. This is only a movie, not a full series. It's kind of slightly written from a Ray's perspective because of the idea that he was supposed to be on a mission called Centurion 5, which reference to one of the names that was thrown around for Fury 325, not Carowinds, and then Moonbase Subterra. That's reference to a Nemesis Subterra, a former Riot Alton Towers, which Sean Sarah did post a video today at the time of the stream. So you can check that out if you want to. Intention Vehicles play an Outpost 5. Brainerd Prep High School, it's a play on I Now. So, like, you know, where I live. I used to walk to where I used to live originally when I was very young. There was a prep high school. It was a little, you know, church. They're called St. Mary's. I think I've maybe went inside once or twice with my grandfather. But yeah, but it's very, very different than that. Oh, here we go. Yep. Yeah. Draco, yeah, her mom was a math teacher. And, you know, and then Penny, Nora, and June are named after my cousin Ashley's, you know, daughters. Penny is a golden doodle. Nora and June are 2 actual daughters. Character face. This one's for you, Coaster Hour. You became Ruga. It was just funny. Became Rogaruzer after the rice removal was announced. It was a stand-up coaster named Mantis. It became a floorless coaster called Rugaru, and it's comparing and contrasting it. There isn't much change. It's all on the track, really. With these at this point, Kong. Philip Seymour there was a guy named Mr. Seymour who was a middle school gym teacher. I'm not sure what teams he coached, but there was a guy named Wyatt Dempsey. I think there was a guy named Dempsey. I think it was like football, basketball, or something like that. Just like making a joke. You know, this is set in the late 2030s, so definitely that's a big, you know, we're just throwing it as a joke. There's, you know, Jake from Fourze, another teacher, and, you know, and reference to Saber actually, because it's sort of like a Saber adaptation called Literary Guardians. We'll tour it, you know, some stuff. Ray, any friend, Xavier Decker, named after my world history teacher, who the year after I had him, he got fired at the end of the first quarter. And after the Stone Ninja and Carrie Pink, I needed some African Americans in here, so just drop that in. And then Cali Catchers are playing Kick Trades, the American Girl. Going a bit more detail on the actual page with this stuff is She created like a whole like system. There's like 7 to 12, not just like 10 to 12 or something like that in Fourze. So if students, that's 140 per grade, but including other employees, around 1,000. Because that's Percy, Freya, who is Tachibana, his counterpart as well as Virgo. And Dimitri's backstory kind of fits in with his backstory where he was involved with like wrestling and stuff. I think he met like some wrestler from like Ireland or something. Finished up his gym, Should be changed to one word and add Makai there because all of them were in that same homeroom in the series. Some self-proclaimed prince because he's like the sleuth. After gossip and rumors, which were very engrossed in tech. This is 2030s. 10 years from now. Actually, more like 15 years from now. Specifically, this is 2038, 2037, 2038 school year when the Apollo movie is set, and the Saber adaptation is set in 2038, except for when Saber Blades and Espada travel back to 2022, but that is a Shining Spirits episode. So the additional scores is like there, 9th, 11, and that's Orion, the first Zodiac series. Before that was the last one I was in before I did School News senior year. Fun callback to that. ICSS is Erwin Street Charter School, where Taylor came from. Actually, was going to go there too, but she had a run-in with Mr. Decker, and because he gave a switch to someone outside the school, and along other rumors of his actions with kids unrelated to becoming Zoyards, he was sent to, the Dark World. Sent where, where Virgo sends them. The singers are Maggie and Kinji Oharu. Pen and Drew, the only 8th graders, and their friends, Gavin, Carrick, Tori, Seamus. Again, all those were in the same homeroom. And then that's like the kids are in school. Like, they're all for that. It's like just, like scrapping, like kind of like saying like marriage, religion's kind of like old, but STEM is like the way of the future. That's kind of what the symbolism is there, and it also a strong contrast to Shining Spirits, where the character of Faith kind of does play more of a role in the story than one would expect. In Mr. Seymour, Jim Cheech, actually I'm in 8th grade, and I had Mr. Green for Jim all for those years in middle school, but in 5th grade, our classes were kind of together. Tori after the Vampire and One Light Saga. Satirize first film. Ashley, if you did not know that. And use our all just get them in that old part of the school, which sometimes used for the science classes, but yeah. Next up, Kamen, done with writing for the day. KyuKyu's in the GOGOV 5. Finishes New Year's Eve, actually. If I didn't say that already. There are some, funny moments with this. series. Actually, kind of liked all of them, like all 5, despite only being those 5 heroes from start to finish. Haven't gone back and watched the movie with Beast Hunter yet. But I kind of have a man crush on Nagare, TBH, the Blue Ranger. But it's interesting how it works and why they decided to do cousins instead, Kamen Ninja, because, big doesn't like big families are kind of like a big thing in Japan anymore. Usually, one, like you have 2, so it makes sense there. Or like connection between families, which we do see in the series where the family of the GOGOV 5 are part of, and then the Rainer's ex-boss with the fire department. There's, friendly rivalry going on there, which is interesting. But I think also we can see like more Shinkenger or like, more older. More kind of older too. Like I was thinking to an extent where the warriors are like friends because of their families, who also were warriors before them in a way. And they kind of treat Leonard Boy as a Sixth Ranger, which trying to make sense. But I do feel, all in all, the dad, the professor, is the GOAT. I mean, it's interesting, like, very underrated character. And I don't know if that was a mistake by Shaw Factory, but Shaw already calls her a she in one episode. And also, the Y2K episode is very funny. Pierre Jinxer. There's one point where he's like so depressed about Salamander's Olympia's death that he gets drunk and messes with Mint's circuits. So she thinks it is 2000 and has the Y2K bug, even though now during COVID-19 we know that Y2K was not an issue. But it's just funny looking back at that. It'd be like if there was like an episode of the pandemic, if Kira had a pandemic episode, and then my kids in 2040 watch, and then Ranger Lizdar watched in 2040, or like someone who was born, be someone if Kira made a pandemic episode in 2020. Someone was born in 2021 and then watched it when they were in college because they didn't want to remember the pandemic years, because that's one thing I wanted to keep to an extent within Larry Guns is that the first 3, where as mentioned, Saber, Blade, Spada, plus Kenzan, they were kids, like, around kindergarten or so when COVID-19 occurred. But Saber's sister, who is kind of like May's counterpart, she has no memories of her own from that period of time. She wasn't cognizant then. Also, where in Tokyo is the GOGOV 5 base? Not Bay 55, like actually like where they lived and lived and worked during the show. Where is that? And if it still stands, it kind of looks like some place. Almost like Darren or whoever was. Only was a Togo version, but that might have been. I think it was Darren, but that I've actually been the GOGOV 5 base, and it was just like a meme or something. I don't know. But last, but certainly not the least, it is RPM. It's similar from the get-go, like, Truman's like, just like, when someone's like, what should I do? Like, just blow something up, seriously. Very different than anything that has happened in Rangers since. Feel that Gen 10 definitely improved. Like, at first they do seem a little annoying. And you definitely feel that they kind of lose their thing over time, which kind of makes sense, seeing her return initial kind of a symbolism of that growth there. But TBH, I think Gemma is more into Flynn than Flynn is into her. Just my thing, but my opinion. And I actually found out that the kilt that Flynn is wearing is actually the McInnes clan, and that's the last name of Pink Ranger in Power Rangers. So it's all just like really well played. Tell me when it comes together. And Pilot Max looks perfect to turn into a Kikaloid. Okay, nothing knocking that back. Also, just like with the last series with the GOGOV, where in New Zealand would they shoot the wasteland scenes? I wouldn't think New Zealand is being very arid. Australia, yeah, it's a big island, and like the whole middle is desert, and that's why most country is on the outskirts toward the seas. And also, I definitely feel like there's a lot of original footage. Like, I feel like the Megazord fight was probably like the only thing that they did no original footage for at all, which kind of makes sense because Gonger is said to be rather lighthearted, and RPM is very serious, apocalyptic, and that's why I think whatever a Gonger Giggle, it would look like it would probably be themed to Apocalypse at Six Flags Magic Mountain if it were considered like a roller coaster personified character, Because I was thinking about last night when I sleep, what roller coaster would correspond to each of the Sentai or Ranger seasons. I'll get back to you guys on that once we see more of what these Kikaloids will look like. But so far, I am pleasantly surprised with their design and how everything works. But also, if you haven't seen, I got Zabune to work, but not Grable Phoenix. The right leg here, that's a little bit fragile, but he's holding Oridine right now as a crossbow. And in my adaptation of Kamen, this is Zabune is actually the Loch Ness Monster, but it's also called Sub-Mako. Also in reference to Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. And then S-Bomb Bullet, that was discovered in Germany early on, obviously. I just want, I don't know if there is just a release of, Smug Jokey without Express. I don't know, I might just have to go, ask Taka, maybe we can get, some other weapons instead. I don't know. Time will tell. I need to refill this, but I have nothing left to say. Or I'm Talkin Toku Retro, because all this is older series, nothing new going on except that little bit about Zenkaiger. But yeah, again, next stream will be specifically first weekend of March, because the last episode of Kamen will be out February 28th. So right now, it's slated for March 5th. That could easily be 6th or 7th. And then about 2 months later would be the live stream for May, which should hopefully include Final Fury talk. So, Final Fury talk and play the channel. March is also going to be a year review. But yeah, I'm Lindsay. Comment, like, subscribe. Strike all if you're subscribed.